everyone! Good afternoon! We are the group 3. For the shades, ang person. Kasi natin ang shades ng person. Ayan, pretty. Take 2. 1, 2, 3, go. Hi everyone! We are the group 3 and we are here to discuss about the secularization controversy and the Filipinization movement in the Philippines. So, I am Nonros Gonzaga and I am assigned to discuss about the secular priest and the regular priest. So, before anything else, let me define what is a priest. A priest is someone who is authorized to perform the sacred rites of a religion, especially as a mediatory agent between humans and God. So, self-explanatory, priest, ang Tagalog nito ay pare. And yung mga pare, sila po yung nag-aaral ng mga words of God, sila din po yung nag-aaral ng buhay ng ating Panginoon from the past. At sila din po yung mga taong naniniwala sa isang Diyos. That's why, kaya nga, inaaralan nila yon, sila yung may kakayahan na ipakalap yon sa lahat ng tao. Okay? By the way, dati, sabi sa history, priest daw is parang sila yung hindi naman pinakamataas, pero may mga position sila, kung baga, mataas ang tingin sa kanila ng mga tao from the past kasi syempre sila yung nag-aaral ng salita ng Diyos. So, yun. Ang sabi dito, mediatory agent between human and God. And since alam naman nila yung mga word of God, sila yung may kakayahang magturo sa mga tao na nagkukonek sa ating Panginoon. Okay? So, let us start in regular priest. Regular priest, they belong to religious order. So, ano nga ba tong religious order? A religious order is a lineage of communities and organization of people who live in some way set apart from society in accordance with their specific religious devotion, usually characterized by the principle of its founder religious practice. So we have 4 examples of religious order. Number 1 is canons regular. Number 2 is monastics. Number 3 is mendicants. And number 4 is clerics regular. Canons regular are from the word itself, canons and canoness regular, who recite the divine office and serve a church and perhaps a parish. While the monastics is a group of nuns living and working in a monastery and reciting divine office. Mendicants, friar or religious sister who live from alms, recite the divine office and in case of men, participate in apostolic activities. Clerics regular, priests who take religious vows and have a very active apostolic life. So, ang sinasabi lang po dito, ang religious order is meron po silang isang nire-recite. Like for example, ito, pare-parehas silang nire-recite ang divine office sa iba't ibang paraan. Okay pa? Another definition, their main task was to spread Christianity. So, since priest is pare nga, and sila yung nag-aaral ng words of God. Sila yung nag-aaral ng words of God. It means sila yung may kakayahan na magpalaganap ng salita ng Diyos. Or kaya sila yung may kakayahan na magpalaganap ng Christianity. Okay? Apo. Another definition, they are Spanish priests who trained and studied in seminaries in Spain belonging to the major missionary order. They take religious vows of chastity, poverty, and obedience and follow the rule of life of the institute to which they belong. There are examples of regular priests. Number 1 is Franciscans. Number 2 is Recollects. Number 3 is Dominicans. And number 4 is Agostinians. So, ang alam ko lang dito, as of now, is the Dominicans. Dominican priest is one, or Dominican as a religion as one, is one of the 4 great mendicant orders. So, kanina, na-mention ko yung about sa 4 religious orders, which is kasama dun ang mendicant. The Dominican is part of the mendicant order. Next is the secular priest. Ito naman po na secular priest, they do not belong to any religion order. They do not belong to any religious order. Next is the secular priest. They did not belong or they are not belong to any religious order. So, yung nabanggit ko kanina na 4, yung mga secular priest ay wala sila doon sa mga order na yon. Compare dun sa regular priest, they belong to religious order. Ang mga secular priest naman is hindi sila belong sa religious order. Another definition of secular priest, they were Filipino priests who studied and trained in the seminaries in the Philippines. O kung the difference between the regular and the secular. Regular studied at Spain, while secular studied at the Philippines. Pero parehas silang seminaries. Seminaries, okay. Another definition of secular priests, they were trained specifically to run the parishes and were under the supervisions of the bishop. A little background about parishes. Parishes is a small administrative district typically having its own church and a priest or pastor. Like ako po, Roman Catholic po ako pero part po ako ng isang church. Maliit lang siya na church and lahat po nandun is Christians. Kumbaga, 30 lang kami na nandun. So, parang small administrative district siya. We have our own church and we have our own pastor. Actually, dalawa na po yung pastor namin. Isang babae, isang lalaki. And sabi pa dito, we're under the supervision of the bishop. So, what is this bishops? Bishops is a senior member of the Christian, usually in charge of a diocese and empowered to confer holy orders. So, kumbaga, since senior member na sila, mataas na yung kanilang posisyon and they are the one who have the power to give a holy orders. Another definition is that the circulars were priests who are ordained for a particular diocese and who serve ordinarily in parishes. They were discriminated against by the Dominicans, Jesuits, Franciscans, and Recollects. So since itong mga priest na to is hindi part ng religious order, kumbaga minamaliit sila ng mga regular priest. Kumbaga sa word na to, they are being discriminated by the regular priest who are included in the religious order. And lastly, they are not bound by monastic vows or rules.
Thank you, Noni. Now, to give you an overview and ideas to further understand the topic, we will provide you with some facts about what is secularization. First, secularization as a process. Secularization is a process by which the society is slowly transforming from having close identification with a religious institution to a more separated relationship. This was considered to be the dawn of Philippine nationalism, particularly after the execution of Gumbursa. Next, what happened in 1861? In 1861, secularism began when the parishes of Mindanao, originally managed by the Recollect friars, were handed to the Jesuits. The Jesuits were expelled from the Philippines in 1768 because of the conflict they had between the European leaders. Then third, what is Father Pedro Pelaez and Father Mariano Gomez' significance in the secularization movement? Father Pedro Pelaez, Father Mariano Gomez of Cavite, together with the ecclesiastical governor of the church, are the people who strongly advocated for the rights of secular clergy. Unfortunately, Father Pelaez died in 1863 when an earthquake destroyed the Manila Cathedral. Next, who headed the secularization? Gumbursa headed the secularization movement. They advocated the right of the Filipino secular clergy over the assignment of parishes rather than giving them to the newly arrived Spanish friars in the country. And fifth, how did the regular priests reacted to the movement? The regulars resented the move because they considered the Filipinos unfit for the priesthood. The first Filipino native priests were most probably Creoles or mestizos, while some were of indigenous natives. By the year 1655, there were approximately 60 native priests in the Philippines.
Thank you, Yasha. Similar to Yasha, I will also be discussing what is the secularization movement all about. First, in the secularization movement, what do the secular priests fight for? The seculars boldly clamored and demanded for an equal responsibilities and assignments as clergies due to the unfair treatment and discrimination towards them. The conflict between the regulars and the seculars arose when the bishops overseeing the seculars persisted in visiting these parishes administered by the regulars because they claimed it was their responsibility to oversee the administration of these parishes. Second, who is Archbishop Basilio Santa Justa in this movement? Archbishop Basilio Santa Justa assigned secular priests to take the place of regular clergies who had resigned. The regular priests rejected the bishop's arguments, and if the bishop will insist on visiting the parishes, they would be forced to leave these parishes. In order to fill the vacancies left by the regulars, Archbishop Basilio Santa Justa appointed secular priests after accepting their resignations, the resignations of the regulars. So the conflict and the resignation of the regulars led to the provision of the royal decree. So what is this royal decree? The royal decree states the secularization of all parishes or the transfer of parochial administration from the regular friars to the secular priests. And lastly, the ordinary policy. The ordinary policy from the beginning was to entrust the seminaries or to diocesan secular priests, generally Filipino natives and not Spaniards.
The three proponents of the secularization movement, first is Father Mariano Gomez de los Angeles. Father Mariano was born on August 2, 1799. His parents are Francisco Gomez and Martina Custodio. His education is from Colegio de San Juan de Letran and University of Santo Tomas. So, some facts about Father Mariano Gomez is that he was designated as the head priest of Bacoor, Cavite. He also taught agriculture and cottage industries. He fought for equal rights of native priests against abuses of their Spanish counterparts, which makes Gomez as the head of the three priests and spends his life writing about abuses against Filipino priests. For the death of Father Mariano, his alleged crimes included treason or betrayal of one's own country, and sedition or insurrection against lawful authority. For being the supposed masterminds of the insurrection of Indios or the native Filipinos working in the Cavite arsenal. Before his death, Gomez was active in the publication of the newspaper La Verdad. For the second proponent of the secularization movement is Father Jose Apolonio Burgos y Garcia. Father Jose Burgos was born in Vigan, Ilocos Sur on February 9, 1837. His parents are a Spanish officer, Don Jose Tiburcio Burgos, and a mestiza mother named Florencia Garcia, being regarded as a Spanish mestizo, making him Tisoy and not Moreno. His education obtained 3 undergraduate degrees with honors and 2 master degrees from Colegio de San Juan de Letran and University of Santo Tomas. For some facts about Father Jose Burgos includes, he conducted his first mass in Intramuros, Manila. He is a member of a confraternity for whose goal was to seek reforms, which is listed in Eco de Filipinas, which was published in Madrid. Confraternity is a brotherhood, especially with a charitable or religious purpose. A close friend and associate of Pasiano Rizal, which is Jose Rizal's older brother and mentor. The cause of death of Father Mariano is that after the Cavite Mutiny on January 20, 1872, the trial of mutineer Sergeant Bonifacio Octavo revealed that a man named Zaldua had been recruiting people for an uprising. Octavo testified that this man claimed to be under the orders of Burgos, but inconsistent details during Octavo's cross-examinations called into question the validity of his testimony. Nevertheless, Governor General Rafael Izquierdo reported to Madrid that the testimony had confirmed his suspicions. and pinned the blame on Burgos and two other priests, Jacinto Zamora and Mariano Gomez, for sedition. Therefore, these three priests is a victim of false accusations. So several towns in the Philippines were named in his honor. Burgos Ilocos Norte, Burgos Ilocos Sur, Burgos Isabela, Burgos La Union, Burgos Pangasinan, Padre Burgos Quezon, Padre Burgos Southern Leyte, Burgos Surigao del Norte. For the third proponent is Father Jacinto Zamora y del Rosario. Father Jacinto Zamora was born on August 14, 1835. His parents are Venancio Zamora and Hilaria del Rosario. In terms of his education, he began his early education in Pandacan and later at the Colegio de San Juan de Letran. He later transferred to the University of Santo Tomas after finishing his Bachelor in Artes. Zamora graduated on March 16, 1858 with the degree of Bachelor of Canon and Civil Laws. Some facts about Father Jacinto Zamora includes he was classified as an insular under the Spanish caste system prevailing at the time. Insulares was the specific term given to Criollos or full-blooded Spaniards born in the colonies or born in the Philippines or the Marianas. Insulares were part of the second highest racial class in Spanish hierarchy below the Peninsulares or full-blooded Spaniards born in Europe. After being ordained, Zamora handled parishes in Marikina, Pasig, and Batangas. He was also assigned to manage the Manila Cathedral on December 3, 1864. In league with fellow priest Mariano Gomez and Jose Burgos, he continued the mission that Padre Pelaez began, the secularization of Filipino priests. Zamora had a habit of playing cards after saying Mass. Cause of death of Father Mariano. Once, he received an invitation stating that his friend had powder and munitions. In the gambler's language, powder and munitions meant that the player had much money to gamble with. This invitation fell into the hands of the Spaniards, and worse, it was on the night of the Cavite Mutiny led by a Filipino soldier, Sergeant Lamadrid. This invitation was used by the Spaniards as evidence against the three priests. The court accused them of inciting the revolt even though the evidence was not adequate. They were found guilty and sentenced to death by garrote. Garrote means killed by strangulation, usually with iron collar.
Events that led to the secularization controversy. 1567. Upon the request of King Philip II, and due to the lack of secular priests, Pope Pius V issued the Exponi Nobis, which allowed the regular clergy, or those belonging to the monastic order, to serve as parish priests without diocesan authorization and be exempted from bishop's authority. 1768. Because of the expulsion of Jesuit priests in 1768, the parishes they vacated were given to the native seculars. 1774. Archbishop Basilio Santa Justa accepted the resignation of the regular priest and appointed native secular priests to the parishes. November 9, 1774. A royal decree ordering the secularization of parishes or the turnover of parishes supervised by regular clergy to the seculars became the basis for the appointment of native seculars. 1776. This decree was suspended due to the opposition of the friars as well as the unpreparedness of the native priest. 1859. The Jesuits returned and the policy of desecularization affected the native seculars. The execution of Father Mariano Gomez, Father Jose Burgos, and Father Jacinto Zamora, also known as the death of Gomburza, was a major factor in the awakening and shaping of nationalism among the Filipinos. They were publicly executed on February 17, 1872 at Bagong Bayan. The execution was an attempt of the Spanish government
and Philocracia are the government controlled by friars to scare the Filipinos so that they will never commit any acts against them once more. The Filipinos deeply resented the unjust execution of Gomburza, including Dr. Jose Rizal, the national hero, who dedicated his novel Noli Me Tangere to their memory. This event sped up the development of Philippine nationalism. The Filipino patriots called for reforms and independence with the death of the Gomburza as their inspiration. The road to independence was a struggle, and many lives were sacrificed in order to attain the reforms and achieve independence.
It is important to ponder upon this question. What is the relevance of this particular lesson subtheme to the issue of nationhood? The answer would be the need for secularization in the era of Spanish rule was for the Filipinos to gain governing independence as a country and to be recognized as a citizen with proper rights equal to that of a Spanish. One such example of inequality with the Spaniards and Filipinos was the Cumburza execution, wherein Father Jose Burgos, Father Jacinto Zamora, and Father Mariano Gomez were charged with subversion and for allegedly being complicit in a mutiny of Cavite, to which they had no involvement in. Of course, they just used the alleged crimes to hide their true intent, which was the three Filipino priests call secularization to break away from Spanish colonialism and give native Filipinos an increased role in church affairs. Filipinization was also necessary to embrace the native culture and to create a unique identity for the average Filipino citizen during Spanish rule. The key takeaways is that ngayong ating binalikan ang pagkamartir ng tatlong figurang ito mula 149 na taon na ang nakalilipas, kinikilala natin ang napakalaking epekto ng mga ito na humubog sa takbo ng bansa, na muling binago ang isang natatanging pagkakakilanlan, ang Filipino. Ang mga nakakalungkot na pangyayari na naganap noong 1872 ay nagpatibay sa pamana ng tatlong paring martir na Pilipino sa ating kasaysayan. Ang padalos-dalos at di makatarungang paglilitis na kanilang natanggap ay gumising sa mga Pilipino sa malupit at mapang-akit na pagtrato na natanggap natin mula sa mga kolonyalistang Kastila, na nag-alab ng pakiramdam ng pagpapahalaga sa sarili at pagnanais na makalaya mula sa mga pangaapi na ito. Kaya naman, our country's foremost national hero was able to recreate the background and persona of Father Burgos, the Spanish mestizo, in the image of Crisostomo Ibarra, as well as the Panic of 1872 in the final chapters of Noli Me Tangere. Like Father Burgos, Ibarra too was destroyed by the friars for his liberal ideas. Rizal's novels, most especially the Noli, pays homage to Father Burgos' activism. Therefore, Noli Me Tangere is considered Burgos Code. Kaya, nararapat lamang na ating tandaan ang 17 ng Pebrero taong 1872 ay hindi ang kapanganakan ng Filipino. Ito ay matagal nang umiiral noong araw na matagumpay na natipon ng mga praileng Espanyol ang mga Pilipino sa ilalim ng tunog ng kampana. Bagkus, ang petsyang iyon ay ang kapanganakan ng nasyonalismong Pilipino. Noong dating hindi kinakilalang pagkakakilanlang Pilipino ay nagsimulang mahubog at binigyan ng lubos na pagkilala.